like he was basically showing the beauty of the nature. And the reason why this documentary was similar to mine was because it was expository as well, like mine. So yeah. And he was also talking about the solutions we had to stop all of this from happening, as I mentioned before that I was gonna do the same. Then I did the research on world without humans because my teacher suggested to do that, which kind of like helped me think about what our world will be and how human influence caused our environment to be so trashed and stuff. Then those were for my script. I did this research for my scripts, talked about the solutions and stuff. Then I did a research on all 6 types of documentaries, 6 modes of documentaries, and talked about what were the characteristics of each documentary, and mainly focused on the expository one because that was basically the that was basically the mode of my documentary. I also identified similar products as well for each of those documentaries. This research helped me identify why my documentary was expository and not reflexive, for example. Yes, that's basically it. Then I also did research on cost of living, which is just because it's basically the reason why all of this is happening, and just because of the cost of living, people will always go for the cheaper options rather than the eco-friendly ones and more expensive ones. Then here comes the audience research. So my audience research, I did research and I found this survey they did in the UK. I was trying to look for the UK based data. So this is the research they did in the UK, and based on my research, like millennials were mostly the ones who were concerned with the environment, and they were basically the ones who did lifestyle changes to take action and take part in restoring the environment. That's basically it. Those are all of the surveys from this one survey, and that's my own research I did. I created Google Forms and asked people about their opinions or the documentaries and what would they think, who they think would engage with this film more, and they also mentioned millennials. And that's then I also asked them about their opinions for the environmental pollution, and they basically said that some people said that it's terrible, and I think the world will ignore until it's too late, which I think is right. And those were the other questions I asked. Then I asked about the opinions on my rough edit and the final edit, and I was able to shape my documentary and turn into something after my rough edit because of their feedback. And then I did a SWOT analysis of my contextual research, where I identified strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of both my contextual and this is for the audience research. Then here I have my mood board. This is how it looks like. And this is the typography research. This is the font that I will be using, and this is the title of my film. This is the budget research, where I basically compared 2 types of equipments with each other and talked about why was one of them better than the other one, for example. But I don't think this was as useful, since I filmed with my iPhone instead. Those are the other types of This is for the the filter that I used in the Final Cut Pro Film Grain. And for the production research, I basically talked about the types of shots that I would be using. For example, manual focus shots, because it has a lot of advantages. For example, it's good to use in low light conditions. And then those are also my locations, all of my locations. Then I also went to do some test shots, and I also talked about that as well and how it went. And this is the post-production research. I think I spent the most time on my smoke effect for Final Cut Pro. As I mentioned before, I failed to capture the smoke coming out of chimneys, so I had to edit it. So I played with some masking effects. So this is what I was dealing with. So it was my first. I used YouTube tutorials to kind of get more knowledge about these masking filters. But yes, at first I used Draw Mask, but it was taking me a lot of time, so I ended up using green screen here, which was more straightforward. So this is how the whole process looked like. This is the voiceover I did, and as I mentioned before, I ended up not using voiceover at all and removed it. However, the experience was great since my audio skills are not as great as my other editing skills, for example. So I removed it because it was the talking was too quick, and also my script was included too much information, so I ended up removing it. So then that's the Adobe stock footage. I got this footage from Adobe because my shots of the deforestation were not as strong as those ones, for example. And this is that's the font that I got from the Killing Eve. And then I also talked about how I set up the Final Cut Pro. And this is the evaluation. And lastly, I talked about the evaluation and feedback that I received from my teacher and how it reflected on my feedback and how it improved my work based on them. And this is the Harvard referenced bibliography. So that was basically it for my research report. I hope I didn't miss anything here. And lastly, for the evaluation, this is my reflective journal. And in my reflective journal, I made sure to update it every single week and reflect on my work and see what I did. Since even now, like when I want to go back and see like what I did, I think it's quite useful. And I gave myself stars based on my personal performance, and I also talked about how what I could have done better and what I kind of like learned from it. So then I also talked about the what would happen next after this 1 week, and I also included a lot of screenshots. So yes, this is how it looks like. Yes. For some of them, I did not do the technical skills and research skills because I basically did not use any of those skills for them. So yeah. So that was it for my presentation, and thank you so much.